from a design standpoint,
Sure.
trying to help a homeowner not only have a beautiful home, but having a home that is real estate friendly, because at the end of the day,
Music to my ears.
people move.
Yes,
you know?
they do. Welcome back. I'm here again today with Ashley Chotai, one of my sweet friends and owner and principal designer with Ambiance Viera. Today we're going to be talking about curb appeal, entertaining spaces, and a whole bunch more. So with that,
Hello.
welcome back, Ashley. I'm so happy to see
Thank you. I had so much fun last time.
Me too.
I really did.
Me too.
It was totally organic.
Yes.
I messed up a couple words.
Me too.
But that's what's fun about this. It's casual, and we get to just dialogue about our industries. And so thank you for having me back.
Yes. So welcome back. Let's dive in, guys. Hey, friend. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. So I'm very excited that we're back today. Clearly, we are being powered by 7 Blue Brew Blondies.
Blondies for the win.
Blondies for the win.
Go 7 Brew.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for
Starting off-
having me.
Of course. I'm so glad you're back.
Love it.
Which means I didn't scare you off, which is amazing.
No, I had so much fun, and I feel like we just basically started covering the grounds of all that we could talk about.
Yes.
I know we were heavy on design last time, but I also have so many questions for you about real estate. And, you know, our fields coincide a lot because,
do.
you know, you're selling a house to someone who needs a designer, and then I run in with people that need help with real estate issues and rentals and properties and selling and buying and all the terminology that you know way better than me. But I feel like our fields, like when we get together, we end up talking about our work a lot because they just have so many parallels.
Yes.
And I think for design, I end up having to talk about planning financially so much. And so I'm like, you know what? That parallels with real estate tremendously.
Yes. That's
So-
a great place to start, actually.
Okay.
So you tell me first, you know, what does it look like to plan ahead cost-wise to bring on a designer to your home?
Sure. It's one of the hardest questions I'm actually asked. So
Yes.
let's just start with the hardest question.
Okay, perfect.
Because the scope of work varies per project.
Absolutely.
You know, if it's construction versus just styling versus we need full furniture and styling versus, you know, upgrading of lighting. And then some people like a $300 fixture versus a $3,000 chandelier.
Yes.
So really price points can vary and scope of work can vary. But I would say that there's definitely averages. And I think it's, if we can speak in averages today, that might help people listening. If you plan to go into your home and have a designer from head to toe in the house. Does that work in a house, head to toe?
Absolutely.
Top to bottom?
Yeah.
There you go. You need to plan 10 to 20% of the house's value. That's a general idea. So if you're going into a $300,000 house.
I was going to say, find me a $300 house. I would, yes.
Let's do some math here. It would be $30,000 to $60,000 to get the house kind of styled, but that's not customizing. That's really just kind of furnishing and getting it looking good. But I typically don't even work that way because people like to work in phases.
Yes.
So I usually break it down per space.
Okay.
And so if you're talking construction costs, again, there's so many variables, so I won't even speak into the cost there. But for furnishing, designing, customizing, kind of that full look, $5,000 to $10,000 a room is a very good average.
Okay.
And if you go on the lower end, you might get lower quality furniture. And if you go on the higher end, you're going to get something that'll last a little longer. And then it can be upwards of 20 to 25 if people are really spending on things that they love from more expensive lines of furniture. So I hope that was helpful. Was that really confusing?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
And I love that you can break it down like room by room.
Yeah.
So you're not living in a full construction zone the whole time.
Totally.
Or living, from boxes to boxes.
Yeah.
And, obviously when you buy and sell, you tend to live that way for a little bit anyways. But I do think it's great that you're able to kind of, start that way. And then I feel like you must also get a better sense of your client when you do it that way too. And just the amount of trust that they have in you to even, and I've heard, you speak before about you'll start with one phase and then they'll have you come on for 2 and 3 after too.
Yes.
So.
Which I love. What's funny is watching a client's style kind of evolve through that process. So we start with room 1 and they're like a little safe and they're selecting. I'll try to get them out of the box a little bit. And then they'll maybe, branch out a little bit. And then the next room, they're like, I had a lot of fun with that chandelier. Like, let's go a little funky with these accent chairs. And then by room 3, they're like, man, my style's really changed. So I try to keep people in line in that regard because you can change a lot over time.
But I love a good chandelier. I really
know. You have some fun lighting in your house.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, I do love a good chandelier. So, but going back to, costs when it comes to real estate. So I think when, you're planning on buying a home, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, there's some costs that you might not, be familiar with. So you've got, either your financing or you're doing cash, right? So either way, you're going to have escrows. So that's money, in good faith money that you're going to put down.
Which people kind of forget about that part, right?
Yeah.
I know when I last bought, I was like, what? What's that money?
Yeah.
What's that extra chunk?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have escrow, and then, during that period also you have, you've got to pay for your inspections. So that's a couple $100 to $1,000 depending on exactly what you're looking for and what you're needing and the size of the home as well. And then you've got, your down payment, and then you also, have closing costs. So you've got to factor all those in too. But so there are things, and closing costs can vary too. So if you are paying cash, you're going to have less closing costs, just a couple little fees here and there, but that's really about it. So.
Why can't we all have just a big chunk to buy a house?
One day maybe.
Right. So my question is, down payments can vary too. Is that like just with the times, like, how does that work where down payment options with different banks and at different times are so different?
So, if you want to put 20% down, you're not going to pay the PMI, which is the private mortgage insurance. So that's just an extra cost. So once you have, that equity into your home, that gets taken off. But if you do put 20% down, then you don't have that, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So, but not everyone necessarily has 20% to put down on their first home or even their second home. So really just depending. So yeah, I always just say, I'm not the numbers person, but I recommend using a local lender because they know our local area so much better. And I've got so many trusted people who I love and work with, around here as well that can help you navigate all of that. Yeah. And then I also love that they have so many products out right now that can help first-time home buyers or people who are, just upgrading or, downgrading or what have you. But there's just so many different things about 3-2-1 buy downs and, again, just, other things that can help.
Veteran stuff gets help,
yes,
right?
all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So find a local lender, guys. Find a local lender.
I actually learned that the hard way, didn't I, Miss Diana?
Yes, I wasn't going to say anything. I was not going to say anything at all. But no, hey, you live and learn.
We used a bigger lender and...
a bank, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
The B word.
Yeah.
And it was difficult. We got through and it ended up working out, but we had frustrations that I think we could have avoided, right?
Yes.
But you live and you learn. That's why we do these podcasts, so that you folks can learn and not have to do what I did. Right?
Exactly. So switching gears, one of the things that I would love to talk about, because I know that you just did this at your house.
Echo.
Yes.
Okay.
Outdoor living.
Yes.
And I just want to talk about that and entertaining. We do live in Florida, so right now, unfortunately, it's hot as can be. But when we are in a season tour, we can have the indoor-outdoor living and opening up all the windows and doors. That's just so much fun. So I would love to hear more about how you design a space to do the indoor-outdoor living entertaining as well.
Well, that's a great question. And I feel like especially the months in Florida that are like December to May. Wouldn't you say that's the sweet spot?
Yeah, May can be a little warm too, but yes, I agree.
Sweet December to April. Sure. You get 4 or 5 good months where you can sit outside. Yes. Like I remember last winter sitting outside by our fire pit and falling asleep on the sofa, and it was cold and we were under blankets. I'm like, Florida gets the best of both worlds if you don't need snow. Yes. Right?
Yes.
So I just really think outdoor living is an important part of life. Being outside is important. We don't get enough outdoor hours. And we have a friend who counts her outdoor hours and puts us to shame. She's like, I was outside for 2 hours. Check. Yeah. We're like, oh, wow. But it's important to be outside. And I think that most Florida homes, especially in our area, have already the lanais built, like screened, the cages.
Yes.
And they're there for a reason, so you can enjoy that area without getting eaten by an alligator or torn up by mosquitoes, right? Yes. So it's a space we're like meant to enjoy, and the houses are built that way. So there's a lot of layers to aesthetically making that outdoor area look good. And the other thing is that it's a lot of maintenance. I mean, the bottom line is that outdoor areas are maintenance.
Yes.
Didn't you say your husband like pressure washes once a month?
He pressure washes often, yes.
So, I mean, we've done outdoor areas for clients, and I go back years later. They maintain it well. They clean their furniture. They power wash. They dust. There's lots of pollen different times of the year here in Florida. So if you're not going to keep up with it, it's not going to last that long. Agreed. So I usually say when you're making the decisions on like furnishings and things outside, either don't overspend and be willing to replace them.
Sure.
2 years, 5 years, 7 years down the road, or just be really, really on top of maintenance.
Absolutely.
So I always say that because I like things looking nice long term, and outdoor spaces I would say are the hardest in that way. But I just think between string lights and
love a good market lighting.
Yeah, me too. Great furniture, outdoor pillows and rugs. And then I'm a huge fan of Polywood. This isn't like a suggestion to buy a specific brand, but Polywood or Polywood-like furniture that has the 20-year kind of warranty behind it. It's weather resistant. It's not going to fade in the sun, which is a huge problem around here.
Yes.
That's furniture I like personally.
Okay.
So I have rockers in that material. I have a high bistro table. So it's not fabric, but you can bring in plants and planters and other things to kind of elevate the look.
Sure.
So I'm more about, like, if I'm going to be investing, I really want it to last. So that's a brand I recommend. Okay. So I don't know if that was helpful, was it?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
And then one of the things I've seen you do quite a bit, and I absolutely love, is when you do the green walls.
Yes. I did that at my house.
I know. So tell us more about that, because I love I've seen that you do it in a couple different spaces too, and I think it's so beautiful.
Thank you. Well, the one thing is that it is weather resistant.
Okay.
So it's just a great way to have a wow factor.
Yes.
And, you know, I'm always looking for that wow.
Yes.
It adds a natural look because it's greenery.
Okay.
And so between the wow and the natural, it defines a space. Like for me, my back part of my house it's long. And one part of it's with a barbecue, one part of it's seating. So we defined the seating area with it.
Sure.
So it's a good way to define moments in your patio if it's not so separated.
Okay.
And I just think it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
So
I do too.
Thank you.
Yes, I love that.
I have a lot of fun with it. And we get a lot of requests for it. Like we actually just got a request for it in Orlando through a builder. Okay. So, you know, it's just
that's so fun.
Becoming a thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Setting a trend. So one of the things you just said that I was actually going to ask you about too, cages or screened in porches. So lately I've been doing a lot of open houses and some of them have screened in, areas and some of them don't. And I've gotten more mixed reviews about that. So do you have a preference?
I think it's an adjustment.
Sure.
To people coming down, especially from up north.
Yes.
It's just foreign. Like no one screens in their area really, minus the sunrooms that are kind of in some of those older homes, right? So I think it's an adjustment, but I just think it's so functional. The mosquitoes can get really bad several times a year. Yes. Love bugs really bad several times a year.
Yes, I forgot about those.
Those haven't come around in a while.
I forgot about those.
I know. So it has been a minute. Maybe they're gone. Maybe that whole thing is gone.
Great.
But, I mean, I have 3 kids. So knowing that they can be out there and that the screen doors are closed and it's like a contained area, that's really valuable to me as a homeowner, mother.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
But I have a friend who has a pool in like an open area without a cage. And I'm like, it actually feels
so pretty.
It's so gorgeous. Yes. Yeah. I mean, they will definitely photograph better.
Yes.
100%. So if you're looking for those photographs, take down the cage.
Yeah.
But I just think on an everyday living type of mentality, I want it.
Sure. No, absolutely.
Do you agree? Or?
Yeah, honestly,
You have one.
I do have one as well, correct. But my sweet mother-in-law has no cage, and they're so beautiful too.
Yeah, she does.
I know, and she's got all the pretty plants and everything.
Yeah, but she has a screened patio too.
She does.
She has best of both worlds.
She does. So it's great. I mean, I do think, as a mom, being able to know exactly where my daughter is at all times, making sure that she's in the confined spaces of our home and our screened area is also really valuable. But maybe once she gets older, we can knock it down. I don't know. But it's funny because, again, at open houses lately, I've seen some people, who love the screened in area. And then some people are like, oh, it doesn't have a screen. I wonder what it would cost to put up a screen too. So,
which is usually like $10,000, I think.
Give or take. Yeah. I mean, it really just depends.
Average.
I feel like things have gone up and, so I never pretend to know prices on
and
all that.
Sizing too. So, you're like, oh, that's just 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Really, it's 12 to 15.
Yeah.
I know.
So I never like to misspeak on that.
Same with design prices. Numbers kill me because people get attached to a number and, you're like, but that was on an 1,800 square foot home, sweetie.
Yeah. And you're living in 4,000 square feet.
Right.
Very different.
But it goes back to planning.
Yes.
Planning for real estate, planning to buy, right? Planning to hire a designer.
Planning for upgrades.
Right.
You know, another thing too, I think that we kind of spoke about over the phone earlier this week, you know, when people are searching for homes too, you know, the other thing to think about, insurance costs, you know, how old is the roof? Does the AC need to be replaced? I know that y'all had that experience. We, you know, had certain things that we had to replace and stuff too over time. And obviously that's part of just home ownership.
Totally.
But, you know, hot water heaters, you know, if you're beachside, do you have cast iron plumbing or has it been updated?
Oof, that one's brutal.
I know.
Big expense.
If, you know, if you're living on the island, you know, in certain parts of Maryland, you know, do you have septic tank or not? Like, what does that look like? So, and just different, you know, extra inspections, like with those types of things too.
Yeah.
So, you know, all that to keep in mind. How are your windows? Are they, you know, hurricane rated or, you know, impact glass? And, you know, if not, what are you wanting to upgrade those? Like what, you know, getting quotes and stuff on that too. But, and helping, you know, insurance costs come down. So there's lots of different features and things to look for in homes when purchasing as well. So
Speaking of windows, when they're clean, you know, people ask me how to prep for a designer. Like, clean your windows. Yeah. I'm not even kidding. It's shocking. I have a guy who comes and cleans our windows twice a year.
Do you?
And he's amazing.
That's incredible.
And it's like the best money spent ever.
Okay.
And he goes up on the second floor, outside and inside.
I love that.
And it's ridiculously affordable.
That's honestly, that's a great little tip and trick.
Yeah.
So actually, speaking about cleaning, I love that your house is always beautiful and clean and everything and always smells good. What are some of your favorite products to use? Yes. Do you have any favorite products that you like to use?
Yes, and it's so funny because even watching our first podcast, I'm like, I have to give an answer to give an answer.
Yes.
It's a bad habit of mine, but I have to give an answer to give an answer even here. So I really believe in sealing your quartz countertops.
Yes.
And I have a wonderful guy, shout out to Frank.
Yes.
Who seals your quartz countertops, and it makes it less porous.
Okay.
Less susceptible to staining and bacteria, both big things with porous stone.
Sure.
And so he has a very particular cleaner that you clean with so you don't break down the sealant.
Okay.
And it lasts like 10 years, so it's not like a high maintenance thing, and it's also very affordable. So if you need that information ever, let me know. But I have a very particular cleaner for my countertop, and I tell everyone who comes over or babysits or wipes my counters that it's only my HydroShield spray.
Yes.
But for other cleaners, interestingly enough, a lot of flooring needs really hot water, and that's it. There's a lot of flooring that's current with like the luxury vinyl planks that soaps and chemicals actually ruin, and they start to break down like all the layers. So yeah, we use really, really, really hot water with just a mild cleaner.
Okay.
For our floors. I like the smell of a non-recommended purple cleaner.
Okay.
A little bit too much.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, that's good. I can't recommend it here, but it smells really good. And probably for a lot of household cleaning, I use that.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say.
Okay.
And I'm big on bleach.
That does not surprise me at all.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, especially for toilets and things like that, you have to have bleach.
Obviously, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, okay.
Why? What about you?
There was one product that was shared with me. It was actually like I think it was like a Secret Santa gift or something. This was a couple years ago. And it was, I honestly don't remember like the line of it, but I'm pretty sure it came from Williams-Sonoma. And it just smelled, it was a light blue color. I wish I had it on hand, but it smelled so good. And I used that every chance I could until I ran out. So it just, it was light and airy, not too chemically, but it also just made everything feel and look super clean. Yeah. Which made me feel happy.
And your house smells good.
Yes.
It is a good thing.
Yes.
Love it. All right. So I have a couple of questions for you that are about real estate.
Let's see if I have the answers.
I'm sure you do. You're a whiz.
I try.
Real estate whiz. So it's interesting when I am going into clients' homes and they want me to design it. They're always talking about, well, what if I sell down the road, but we don't know if we should sell. The rates are so high right now. So how much should we customize this house? So I'm almost helping them make real estate decisions.
Sure.
Because of how we are designing their home. In other words, don't do this because of that, or do this because of that. So I'm having to learn value adds behind design decisions. obviously the rates get brought up so much about whether we should buy or sell. And then homes have gone up in our area tremendously over the last 10 years. I remember we lived in Toronto before we moved here 8 years ago. So I just hit 7 years designing in Brevard.
Yay!
But in Toronto, we used to come down and visit, and we'd come and stay at my mom's house. She got her house for $150,000. It's worth over $500,000 now. But I'm just I cannot believe their house is worth that much. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So it is worth that much. But it's just hard to know that they got it for that price. So I guess I'm just wanting to hear your perspective of that jump over the last 8 years. And is this kind of the permanent place that pricing is going to be here in Brevard? There's so many people coming in. And then with the rates, is there going to be any movement there? Because people are wondering if they should design heavily or design light for a potential move. So any clarification there would help me as I help my clients.
Sure. And I think, there's a couple questions in there, but, rates, unfortunately, us agents and realtors don't have any control over that.
Totally.
Yeah. So, we don't hold a crystal ball. We can't tell, the future. There's always talks about rates going down, some, going back up. And again, that's why there's so many products out with local lenders that can help buyers buy and, all of that. But what I do know is that houses that are in the best condition, marketed at, the very best they can, which I think that, our company does a really great job doing, and priced well, will always sell well. Yeah. So as far, right now we're not seeing as many multiple offer situations, but you're still seeing them. Yeah. And that's everywhere between, $350,000 homes to $2 million homes. So, again, it just depends on, how the home's presented. So I do think, having those things done, obviously the bigger ticket items, the kitchens or the bathrooms and those heavy remodel spaces, I do think that you can go in lightly and just spruce up and stage really well. Paint does go a long way. A new backsplash can go a long way too.
Sure.
But it really just depends, how long are they planning on staying in the home? My business partner just had some clients who bought a beautiful home on the river, and they were only there for, about 2 years, and they put $100,000 into it. Oh, yeah. It was a stunning, stunning house, and she got relocated again. So you just never know what.
Did they get it back out?
Oh yeah.
Oh good. Yeah. See.
So it really just depends too. Are they planning on staying in Brevard County? Are they planning on staying? Keeping their home for a while. Yeah. And everything too. So lots of factors to consider.
Yeah. So when I'm helping with clients remodels, we are obviously working with materials. So I do tons of material selecting. In fact, I'm doing it for myself right now for my master bathroom.
I cannot wait to see this.
Yay.
Yes.
Demo starts next Monday, and I'm over the moon.
Thrilled.
Yes.
Good.
But I'm always thinking through these things too. Do we heavily customize, or do we make sure that it's resale friendly, and trying to find that balance, because you're still living in your space. Yes. But at some point you could actually be a deterrent from a buyer if things are really, really wild. But I mean, if clients are planning to stay in the home for a long time, go all out, make it yours. But if you feel like you're a little bit transitional still, then I try to rein them in a little bit and add a little bit more with the decor, the bar stools, the rugs, the textiles. So
I would agree with that 100%.
For sure.
Because you have a very specific taste, and you want, I don't know, blue flooring or something. That's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Yeah. I've seen that. So it really just does depend. I think if you're trying to think, what will resell really well, I do agree with you in the sense of having more of a neutral, palette. Yeah. And then just bringing in those pops, with pillows and decor and even furniture.
Totally. Yes, accent chairs.
Yes. I know.
Flowers.
Yes. All of that.
Do you find that your buyers, as you're going through homes, are commenting on some of this stuff?
If it's staged and done well, yes.
They're saying, wow, I love the way this feels, or are they noticing the stronger materials versus neutrals? Are they commenting on some of those selections? Bathroom tile, kitchen backsplashes?
Okay. Yes. So I do, because what they're thinking too as buyers, if they love it, then that's great. Yeah. But if they don't, they're like, oh my gosh, how much is this going to cost me? What's flooring going to cost? What's new backsplash going to cost? And then so once it's past paint and just, basic stuff, it's oh my goodness, there's X, Y, and Z. So yeah, great question.
Yeah. I just wondered how much they tune into it, because I know I'm very conscientious of it from a design standpoint, trying to help a homeowner not only have a beautiful home, but having a home that is real estate friendly, because at the end of the day,
music to my ears.
People move.
Yes, they do.
And that helps them be able to get a bigger home or upgrade in ways like, that's all part of an investment, So I don't take it lightly that I have to help them make those decisions.
Yeah, no, I love that. I absolutely love that.
Thank you so much.
So we've talked about materials and all sorts of things. Let's talk about curb appeal.
Okay. Oh, I love curb appeal.
Yes. So curb appeal, and I'm sure you follow too a bunch of different people. I know a lot of people follow you as well, but I love seeing people get excited for the holidays and like sprucing up like around their front doors and just all of that too. So let's talk about that from like when you drive up to a house and front door color, plants, like all of this. I know that you've redone quite a bit, in the front of your house, which is stunning. So tell me how that process works for you.
I think of a house as a full unit. So when I drive up to see a new project, I'm definitely starting my assessment, not in a judgmental way, but I'm starting to take in my client from the second I pull up and I see not only the colors of the exterior and what kind of detail work is on the exterior, but their landscape. And I'm starting to take in a vision.
Sure.
What I find is a lot of people haven't gotten there yet, and that is okay too. We all have to give ourselves grace. But at the end of the day, it'd be nice if the exterior matches the interior and it's all working together with a cohesive kind of aesthetic.
Just about to say cohesive, yes.
Yes, it's all kind of flowing from the second you pull in the driveway. And that's what I've tried to do with mine.
Sure.
Mine needed a lot of landscape, and I love landscape.
Yes. Yes, you do.
Yes, I do. So I typically feel like a lot of the colors that builders use are not my favorite.
Sure.
I would say painting the exterior is something I usually recommend. I do love some contrast on the door. I actually love contrast on a garage door. I find that a lot of the builders and the neighborhoods, especially around Brevard, the garage door is the same color as the house. If you love that, that's fine too. But I do think some contrast is nice if you can have that pop. And I'm a huge fan of landscape. So if you do want to keep it more monochromatic and have the garage not stand out, then you could keep it in the same tone as the house and just do really beautiful planters or trees in the vicinity to kind of add some dimension.
Sure.
And it's interesting, landscape's a completely different art with design. Just the dimensions, where things are in placement, the different textures, the different colors, the use of different vessels. I mean, I would probably do that if I had a second life. I think landscape design is really beautiful. And there's some really good designers here in Brevard that we like to partner with. Yeah, between paint and landscape, I feel like you can do wonders. And lighting, exterior lighting.
Yes.
Can't forget that.
No.
And if you're on a budget and you don't want to have it hardwired, there's really, really, really good solar lighting on the market.
Okay.
Like very good. Yeah.
I love that.
Recommended.
Love it. So Ashley, you just said that you celebrated 7 years for designing in Brevard.
Yes.
So I've been able to watch you and Lex really transform your home, and I love it.
Thank you.
Indoor, outdoor, kitchen, your island is literally to die for. So one of my favorite features, though, that you have in your kitchen is your little coffee spot. So, yeah, I love coming over and having coffee with you. So speaking of coffee, obviously we have 7 Brew powering us today, and you just celebrated 7 years in designing in Brevard. I would love for anyone who's watching to go ahead and just comment and let us know what you'd like to see maybe in the next podcast for a chance to enter into a giveaway for us for $50 to 7 Brew. So it's one of our favorite spots. You got me hooked on them, actually.
So good.
It's so good.
The blondie is the best.
That was the only thing I've actually tried from there.
Not that bad.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I didn't know they had that, but this is the only thing I've tried, but I love it. So every time I pass the 7 Brew, I always end up going there too.
Yeah, thanks for treating me. You're so sweet.
Of course.
Such a good friend.
I try. So speaking of like entertaining spaces and stuff, you know, I love, honestly, I think the kitchen is like the heart of the home. And every time I come over there, you know, we're either making guacamole and chips or we're having coffee and stuff. So where else in your home do you love entertaining?
So my particular layout is built around the kitchen. It's like right in the middle of the home, and it just kind of is where people gather. I'm not sure if it's the location of the kitchen or the size of my island.
I think it's the size of your island. I feel like you could fit like an entire army around your island. It's so big.
Oh, Lex says it has its own zip code.
Yes.
But we had the room for it.
Yes.
And we bought an oversized slab of quartz.
Yes.
That is a little bit rare. But we wouldn't be able to shave off, any sort of substantial amount, which is what they normally do for an island. I was like, yeah, why would you need to shave it? I go, I just need an inch or two shaved off. And then they're like, but we'll have to bring a crane to get it in the house.
I remember that.
I'm like, you'll bring a crane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be great. And
it worked out.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Thank you. So I feel like we entertain around there.
Yes.
Kind of a lot. I wish I was more interesting than that in this moment, but...
No, I think that, again, I think the kitchen's like the heart of the home and everything too. So, and because you have such a beautiful open floor plan, like you can see, all the different areas in your home, like from your kitchen basically too.
Right.
So,
and even though we have a formal dining room at the front, it doesn't feel so formal and disconnected. So I do love having, like when guests come over, like you've eaten at that front table and it kind of feels, I treat it like a little bit more of a special dining occasion. And then outside, I feel like we entertain outside a lot. But the kitchen's super important.
I agree.
It really is. And I like my coffee bar too.
Yes.
I'm so glad you like it.
I do.
That actually used to be a pantry.
I
you remember when it was a pantry?
I do.
And that speaks into like, there are no rules in design. I don't have this formal pantry. Now we have designated really, really good sized cupboards for our snacks, but I'm not one to like stock a lot of beans. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or Cheez-Its. I mean, we shop weekly. I have quite a bit in the pantry, the different areas. Like I have a baking pantry, a snack pantry, and then we have like a canned good pantry cabinet. And we just have so much cabinetry now around that island so that we're able to do that. So I don't really miss my pantry, but it's okay that we lost it.
Yes.
And I try to tell clients that, like, this is your home. Make it what you want. And it's okay if things aren't always traditional or they're not expected. Like, do what you want. So I ditched the pantry and we added more cabinets, countertop, beautiful backsplash.
Yes.
Shelves. It's my coffee station.
I love it.
With my big green stems.
Yes.
So when we were talking about curb appeal, I actually have questions about that because I value curb appeal because I value anything that looks beautiful. And I think the home starts from the second you pull up. They're experiencing you in your home. But from a real estate perspective, I mean, I know curb appeal is definitely valuable, but how valuable? Do you find that when you pull up, your clients are immediately having a reaction to the house?
I would say yes.
Okay.
So, and it really depends too, if I'm working with an investor or if I'm working with someone who's looking for a long-term, home.
That's very true.
So, and it really depends on budget too. So like, for someone like you who could like see and envision all of these things, that may be something that's not going to, spark a light in you from the time you pull up. But someone who can envision that, might be different than someone who's like, I have no idea where to start. I'm like, don't worry. I've got people for that. But I do think, when you pull up, you want to see how is the lawn being taken care of? How are the trees? Like, do I need to cut anything down for hurricane purposes? How does the paint look for the outside of the home? Yeah. I'm always looking at the roof as well. And
true.
Windows too. So I do think that curb appeal, while it's, nice to have great curb appeal, but it's also, the bigger factors like roof and, all of like those big ticket items too. Like, is there stucco work that needs to be done? Or is it just move in ready and like you can eat off the floor kind of clean? So it really does depend on the client, what they're looking for, the stage of life that they're in. If they have kids, they want to be worried about all these plants or redesigning landscaping and what have you.
Totally.
Or do they have the time and want to do that? Because some people want something they can put their own stamp on, which is great. My husband did that and he did a great job. But for me, I'm like, I have no idea where to start either. So I do think that, it really just depends on the client and what they're looking for at the time.
Yeah.
So.
And if you pull up and the house doesn't look like the exterior is cared for, your immediate thought is they've dropped the ball inside too.
That or what am I going to find inside? Yeah. So, and sometimes, it's easier to clean inside and maintain the inside of a home than it is to be, outside if you're not doing like the indoor outdoor living and, you spend the majority of your time obviously in your home and not sitting out front and whatnot. But yes, I agree.
How often do you find that clients are talking about things that you don't see, like duct cleaning or gutter cleaning?
That's a great question. So I've actually had more of that lately.
Really?
Yes, clients asking more of those detailed questions because those are big ticket items and stuff too that can come up. So because if you're not taking care of your ductwork, then, you know, what is it going to look like for all of your AC stuff, and how far does that go back, and what have you? And if you're not taking care of your gutters, and the problems can just roll over and stuff too. But I think that's also something that I try to help to when listing in for my buyers. You know, what can we do beforehand for listing that needs to be done, or for my buyers, how can we figure out what needs to be done in order, you know, to put an offering on the home? Like, what is it going to look like for maintenance and everything too? So,
Ooh, so many factors.
There's lots of factors. Yes.
Same with design.
Yes.
See, another parallel.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please let us know if you have anything else that you want to hear about.
Yeah, I mean, we want this to be valuable for you, that we can just have casual dialogue, but it's also informative and helping you hear from a designer and a real estate agent, and just all the details that go into those processes. It's a lot. We want to be here for you. We actually are doing a giveaway where if you comment on this podcast and ask us for future content or share something that you want us to be kind of speaking into, we'll give away $50 to 7 Brew Coffee.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Yes.